Hey guys, it's Rachel here. Happy Monday. You'll notice that I'm not in my kitchen. I'm actually in my basement, sitting on the floor, just looking through some different boxes of stuff from my childhood. I've always been a super sentimental and nostalgic person, so I keep like everything from movie stubs to ribbons I won for spelling bees in third grade to stories that I wrote, papers that I submitted for school, and came upon something super cool like my autobiography that I wrote when I was 14. And what I'm realizing as I'm going through all this information that I wanted to share with you guys and kind of leave as kind of a thought for you to think about going into this week is this idea that from the time we're really little, certain things about us are true, and those things stay true like even into our adulthood. And sometimes we kind of forget who we are. We lose sight of who we are and who we've always been and what makes us come alive and what turns us on inside, because maybe we get jaded or we get worn down or we get frustrated or overwhelmed or tired or kind of lose hope in what we're doing and what we're on earth to do. And so looking through this information has really just kind of reinvigorated me to realize that, I've always been these certain things. I've always had these interests. I mean, I look back at my autobiography when I was 14, and one of the things I said is that health and nutrition have always interested me, and maybe I'll be a dietitian. Or I look back at this assessment that I took as a sophomore in high school that tells you what career path you should be on, and I look at the list at the very beginning of my desired career paths, and it said psychologist, doctor, nutritionist, and writer. And the funny thing is, when I look at like what I'm doing, I'm either interacting with all those professions or I'm doing some variation, some type of that kind of work in what I do now. So it's so cool to see that like these things have been in me for a long time, and I guarantee that certain things about your life and your personality and your desires and your interests and the things that make you come alive have been there from the very beginning. And maybe you've just kind of lost touch with it, or maybe your passion has dwindled, or your fire has kind of gone out a bit. And I just want to be here to remind you that that's like all lies. And sometimes you just need to look back. Maybe talk to a childhood friend or talk to someone that's known you for a really long time and kind of have them remind you of like who you are and what you used to be like. One of the things I actually kept, I cannot believe I kept this. We did this assignment in 8th grade. This is when I was 13 years old. And everyone wrote their name on the top of this paper, and then we passed it around the room, and then everybody else in the classroom wrote something nice about that person. And so sometimes I can get the feeling, because of like what I do for my job and my, career and life and all these things, that I'm super busy all the time, is that I can feel really like selfish. And when I look back at this and I look back at the things that people have to say, is that I was giving and generous and kind-hearted, always there looking out for others, cheerful, cool to be with, which is not something I felt for most of my life. I didn't think people really thought I was cool. I think they thought I was kind of a dork. But that's just like a lie I tell myself, and it holds me back. So that was super cool. And then this assignment, I went to Catholic school, and this assignment we had to do says wanted by God and parents. And we had to write down like our interests and our hobbies. And I said like, reading, singing, sports, my inner qualities, funny, kind, and generous. And again, when I get caught up in like the day-to-day and the busyness of it all and taking things too seriously sometimes, I'm like reminded that, at my core, like this is who I am. Like I am a giving and kind and caring and thoughtful person. And there are things about you that I think you may have forgotten that are true about yourself that maybe you just need to remind yourself of. And all of this kind of ties back to a quote from Danielle LaPorte, who I've talked about her before on these videos. I wrote the book Firestarter Sessions, and she says, "Can you remember who you were before the world told you who you should be?" And that just like so hits home for me, because I'm like, I know who I am and I know what I'm here to do. And I'm going to remind myself that this has been in me for almost my entire life. And so I challenge you this week to think about, what are the things in your life, or the things that are true about your character, about your personality, about your interests or hobbies that have been with you for most of your life or for as long as you can remember. And if there are things you haven't done or haven't tapped into in a long time, I challenge you to do something about it. So I love to sing. So my husband and I will sing at church, or we'll jam out in our basement. He'll play keyboard and I'll sing along. If you love to do art, or you love to do something with music, or you love to dance, or, paint, or really, anything, think of an interest that you've had for most of your life. And if you haven't done anything with it for a while, do something this week. Commit, say this week I'm going to do something that makes me feel alive and makes me come alive and taps into the core of who I am and always have been. So go do that, guys. Like, we are here. We got one shot at this life. We have one shot, and we gotta take advantage of it. And we want to make it the best possible life we can. So hope that inspires you this week to go after it and do something that makes you feel alive and like the best version of you. Have a fantastic rest of your day.